said that to really understand the most famous endurance race in the world, you have to live through it. It's a battle against one's own limitations, exhaustion, and competitors. It's being committed to one day and one night with a consistent team until you reach the limits of your performance ability. That's the only way to be a part of the myth, where heroes and legends have been born for 88 years. The 24-hour race in Le Mans, a superlative endurance race on a track of extremes. Circuit de la Sade, 13.629 kilometers or 8.648 miles long, 38 curves, 85% full throttle.
Der Mythos Le Mans,
The myth of Le Mans lives. Even in its 79th edition, the most famous endurance race in the world pulls in hundreds of thousands of fans at the racetrack and millions on television screens. Welcome to Audi TV. Once again, the French department of Sade finds itself in exceptional circumstances over this racing weekend. After Audi's famous triple win over the past years, there's only one goal for Audi this year: to defend its title. Many things remain the same, like the battle between Peugeot and Audi in the lead, but one essential thing has changed. In 2011, the Audi R18 TDI is introduced as an entirely new sports prototype concept. Audi sends its latest endurance weapon to the track in an effort to win its 10th victory in Le Mans, the Audi R18 TDI. It's got some big shoes to fill because the previous cars had some great results and much success. Of course, the R18 has a big challenge ahead. It has to prove in the 24-hour race in Le Mans that it's not only fast in the qualifying rounds, but also over a 24-hour period. The compulsory downsizing of the LMP1 cars can especially be seen under the hood. It's a completely new motor, a V6, small, compact, sturdy, light, and very powerful. But the changes aren't only under the chassis. For the first time since 1999, there's no longer the convertible feel to the new Audi LMP1 race cars. Because of the new pit stop regulations, the driver change isn't the most important thing anymore. So having an open car isn't necessary to save time. There was really no other option than to have a closed car if we wanted the best performance.
Das Optimum haben möchte, dann muss man ein geschlossenes Auto machen.
The Audi LMP1 race car was equipped with further innovations, using an Audi ultra-lightweight technology for a consistent lightweight construction, as well as LED headlights optimized for racing. The Audi R18 TDI, prepared for the 10th victory at Le Mans. The great unknown is the car, but the things that are well known are the drivers. There haven't been any changes in the squad of drivers. Let's take a look at the drivers' parade from Friday evening. The boys look so jolly before things get serious the next day as they enjoy the unique feeling of Le Mans.
Noch einmal auf sich wirken lassen.
The atmosphere is like the carnival in Rio, and all that at a motorsports event. That only happens at the drivers' parade in Le Mans. The drivers are certainly impressed with the spectacle. This event's just insane. The fans really give us a lot of motivation for the race.
I don't think there's any other race in the world that has got this sort of participation from the town, the city of Le Mans.
Audi had a mission statement when putting the team together: never change a winning team. They start the race with the trio who are responsible for last year's success. The defending champion trio with start number 1, Timo Bernhard, Romain Dumas, and Mike Rockenfeller. The second Audi team defending the title consists of Marcel Fessler, André Lotteur, and in the pole position, Benoit Trellier. The 2008 Le Mans champions, Dindo Capello, Tom Christensen, and Alan McNish complete the Audi teams. Audi's power density is enormous. 3 teams, 3 chances for the championship, and Audi's secret to success. I think the drivers have been very well selected.
Und das ist eine perfekte
And that's exactly what's required for a strong team and for an excellent performance.
Team starken Auftritt.
And that was actually always our secret. The Circuit de la Sade consists of two completely different sections of track. One track is the 4.5 kilometer or 2.8 mile track called the Le Mans Bugatti circuit right behind us. The rest of the track consists of 9 kilometers or 5.6 miles of sealed off city streets. We'll now give you more details about the semi-permanent track in the track analysis.
Ich nehme euch jetzt einfach mal mit auf eine
I'll now
Runde
take you
hier
with me in my car on a lap around Le Mans.
Ja, wir fangen direkt an auf Startziel. Hin zur ersten Schikane.
We begin at the starting line and head towards the first chicane. It's a fast right curve that's driven fast, and then you need to brake hard because the car gets unstable over the rough road. Then you drop down to second in the first chicane, then through the Dunlap curve into the next S curve, which you have to take fast in third gear. You often have the tendency to take it a bit too quickly. Then you really feel the car being pushed by the compression. Then you drive towards the Tetra Rouge, which is a key position here in Le Mans. I learned that quickly in 2007 when I crashed there. You really need to be bold when taking this curve as fast as possible because you need the speed on the long straightaway. The Mulsanne curve is also really hard to brake in. We drive a bit to the right while braking. The car wants to shift, but you have to hold steady and brake until the last groove, and then take one of the slowest curves in Le Mans in first gear. Then we come up to the Indianapolis curve, one of the really fast curves which you take at nearly full speed for a short time and then brake hard and take the left curve in second gear. It's important not to brake too hard here because there's not much room around the gravel bed, and if you do, then the race is probably over and you can forget about becoming champion. Then on to the Arnage, one of the really slow parts, if not the slowest part here in Le Mans. You take it in first gear and it almost feels like the car is standing still. It's really easy to make a mistake here. Then accelerate hard towards the Porsche curves, which is the nicest part of the track for me here in Le Mans. You really need to be bold through these curves and take them in fifth gear. The slowest you go is 260 kilometers or 160 miles per hour. It's like going through a tunnel of crash barriers because there's not much room to move here. Then we're almost at the finish line. But first there are two chicanes, which you try to take as well as possible, of course. You can't go too quickly into the last chicane, and above all, you have to avoid the yellow bumps because they can quickly damage the car. Then we're heading to the finish line, hopefully with a time under 3 minutes 26 seconds.
Dann sind wir auf Startziel und haben hoffentlich eine Zeit geschafft von unter 3 Minuten 26.
Fans from all over the world congregate to Le Mans every year for this racing weekend. In addition to the race, there are plenty of other things to see and experience. We'll show you some of the highlights now in the news. Patrick Dempsey, television star of Private Practice and Grey's Anatomy, is no stranger to Hollywood glamour, but the driver's parade in Le Mans still impresses him.
The parade that starts tomorrow, the whole experience is incredible. Once you've done it, you just want to do it all the time.
One of the established highlights off the racetrack is the largest Danish tent camp outside of Denmark. Approximately 4,000 local fans have become something of a cult occurrence here for more than 7 years, as Mr. Le Mans will surely demonstrate. Having so many Danes here really gives me extra energy. In the Audi Racing Garden, the Cologne Quartet with Julian and Roman Wasserfer provide some great jazz off the track. Five minutes before the start of the 79th edition of the 24-hour race in Le Mans. Take a look at the stands. What an amazing atmosphere here. Enough to give you goosebumps. The Audi R18 TDI with the start number 3 is to our right, and Alan McNish will be starting the race in 5th place. As we remember from last year, this was the best position for Audi in the starting grid. Now we can move up and see Peugeot in 3rd and 4th place, but the first starting row is firmly in the hands of Audi. The defending champion, Timo Bernhard, will start the race in 2nd place. We'll move in a little closer, and we can see that he's concentrating in preparation for the race. Timo's in the zone right now. We'll keep our fingers crossed for him. Only one driver was faster, Benoit Treluyer, who starts the race in pole position. 4 minutes to go before the race begins. All the drivers will take a lap around this 13.6 kilometer or 8.4 mile track before the race begins. The car's incredibly fast, but we'll have to see if an Audi can endure the distance over 24 hours to get up to the podium. The temperature is 16 degrees Celsius at the start of the race. Approximately 400 laps lay ahead of the drivers. Audi's Alan McNish in the number 3 car already passes Frank Montagny's Peugeot in the first lap. After 45 minutes, all 3 Audis are leading the pack. Timo Bernhard in front of Benoit Treluyer and Alan McNish. A shock for Audi. McNish passes Anthony Beltoise's Ferrari and they make contact. The Scot slides straight into the Dunlap chicane and into the tire barrier.
Ja, das war.
Yeah, that was brutal. You want to know how he's doing. You want to hear his voice.
Man möchte die Stimme hören.
But he was lucky. The R18 TDI's monocoque held firm. McNish climbs out of the wreckage himself and isn't seriously injured. The team's relieved. But the Scots' shock from the crash was very apparent afterwards.
Physically fine. I was checked over by the circuit doctors, also in the hospital, and by our Audi doctors as well, who monitored me through the night and today. Mentally, you know, no problem. You put these things behind you very, very quickly.
After 8 laps behind the safety car, the race resumes with the 23rd lap. The 2 remaining Audis are leading the pack after 100 laps. Andre Lotterer in the lead and Mike Rockenfeller right behind him. The Audi R18 TDI with the number 1 came to a horrifying end in the 120th lap. Reminiscent of McNish, Mike Rockenfeller also collided with a GT car while entering the Indianapolis curve. Shocked faces in the Audi box once again. It looked like Rocky was trying to pass a slower GT who started drifting to the other side of the street. Even though he flashed his highs before passing, the other car just rammed into him. Rocky was going about 300 kilometers or 185 miles per hour, so he was slammed pretty hard into the crash barriers on the left and right. He then climbed out of the car himself and jumped over the crash barrier, and the marshals found him there. He was taken to the medical center in an ambulance. He was still able to speak and is now being checked out at the hospital.
Und ist jetzt zu einem Scan-Check ins Spital gebracht worden.
Shortly afterwards, a sigh of relief. Mike Rockenfeller's not seriously injured. Of course, the relief's far greater than the disappointment. It's amazing that nothing happened to both of them in these terrible crashes. In the last 6 hours of the race, a daring passing maneuver by the last remaining Audi R18 TDI. Falling back into second place after a pit stop, Treluyer boldly passes a Ferrari, and then Pagenaud's Peugeot, who was leading the race at the time. Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich watched as Andre Lotterer raced quickly towards the finish line. After 24 hours, it's official. Audi defended the championship in a very dramatic and emotional race. I don't even know how to deal with this. It's unbelievable. It was always my dream to win Le Mans, and to be standing in the middle of the podium after 2 years with Audi is just amazing. I think it was the most wonderful and horrific victory ever. It was just valleys and mountains of emotions for all of us. Marcel Fessler, Andre Lotterer, and Benoit Treluyer continue the history of Audi success, winning the 10th victory for Audi at Le Mans. Cheers of relief for Marcel Fessler, Andre Lotterer, and Benoit Treluyer. After a roller coaster of emotions, they conquered the track in one of the most exciting 24-hour races at Le Mans. It was sweet redemption after Mike Rockenfeller and Alan McNish's horrifying end to the race. It was the first win for the Audi R18 TDI, an enormous accomplishment of man and machine. I have to say I had a lot of fun again. Thanks for being there. Hope to see you next time.
Ces 24 heures du Mans que vous allez pouvoir...
said that to really understand the most famous endurance race in the world, you have to live through it. It's a battle against one's own limitations, exhaustion, and competitors. It's being committed to one day and one night with a consistent team until you reach the limits of your performance ability. That's the only way to be a part of the myth, where heroes and legends have been born for 88 years. The 24-hour race in Le Mans, a superlative endurance race on a track of extremes. Circuit de la Sade, 13.629 kilometers or 8.648 miles long, 38 curves, 85% full throttle.
Der Mythos Le Mans,
The myth of Le Mans lives. Even in its 79th edition, the most famous endurance race in the world pulls in hundreds of thousands of fans at the racetrack and millions on television screens. Welcome to Audi TV. Once again, the French department of Sade finds itself in exceptional circumstances over this racing weekend. After Audi's famous triple win over the past years, there's only one goal for Audi this year: to defend its title. Many things remain the same, like the battle between Peugeot and Audi in the lead, but one essential thing has changed. In 2011, the Audi R18 TDI is introduced as an entirely new sports prototype concept. Audi sends its latest endurance weapon to the track in an effort to win its 10th victory in Le Mans, the Audi R18 TDI. It's got some big shoes to fill because the previous cars had some great results and much success. Of course, the R18 has a big challenge ahead. It has to prove in the 24-hour race in Le Mans that it's not only fast in the qualifying rounds, but also over a 24-hour period. The compulsory downsizing of the LMP1 cars can especially be seen under the hood. It's a completely new motor, a V6, small, compact, sturdy, light, and very powerful. But the changes aren't only under the chassis. For the first time since 1999, there's no longer the convertible feel to the new Audi LMP1 race cars. Because of the new pit stop regulations, the driver change isn't the most important thing anymore. So having an open car isn't necessary to save time. There was really no other option than to have a closed car if we wanted the best performance.
Das Optimum haben möchte, dann muss man ein geschlossenes Auto machen.
The Audi LMP1 race car was equipped with further innovations, using an Audi ultra-lightweight technology for a consistent lightweight construction, as well as LED headlights optimized for racing. The Audi R18 TDI, prepared for the 10th victory at Le Mans. The great unknown is the car, but the things that are well known are the drivers. There haven't been any changes in the squad of drivers. Let's take a look at the drivers' parade from Friday evening. The boys look so jolly before things get serious the next day as they enjoy the unique feeling of Le Mans.
Noch einmal auf sich wirken lassen.
Is like the carnival in Rio, and all that at a motorsports event. That only happens at the drivers' parade in Le Mans. The drivers are certainly impressed with the spectacle. This event's just insane. The fans really give us a lot of motivation for the race.
I don't think there's any other race in the world that has got this sort of participation from the town, the city of Le Mans.
Audi had a mission statement when putting the team together: never change a winning team. They start the race with the trio who were responsible for last year's success. The defending champion trio with start number 1, Timo Bernhard, Romain Dumas, and Mike Rockenfeller. The second Audi team defending the title consists of Marcel Fessler, André Lotteur, and in the pole position, Benoit Trellier. The 2008 Le Mans champions, Dindo Capello, Tom Christensen, and Alan McNish complete the Audi teams. Audi's power density is enormous. 3 teams, 3 chances for the championship, and Audi's secret to success. I think the drivers have been very well selected.
Und das ist eine perfekte
And that's exactly what's required for a strong team and for an excellent performance.
Team starken Auftritt.
And that was actually always our secret. The Circuit de la Sarthe consists of two completely different sections of track. One track is the 4.5 kilometer or 2.8 mile track called the Le Mans Bugatti circuit right behind us. The rest of the track consists of 9 kilometers or 5.6 miles of sealed off city streets. We'll now give you more details about the semi-permanent track and the track analysis.
Ich nehme euch jetzt einfach mal mit auf eine
I'll now
Runde
take you with me in my car on a lap around Le Mans.
Ja, wir fangen direkt an auf Startziel.
We begin at the starting line and head towards the first chicane. It's a fast right curve that's driven fast, and then you need to brake hard because the car gets unstable over the rough road. Then you drop down to second in the first chicane, then through the Dunlap curve into the next S curve, which you have to take fast in third gear. You often have the tendency to take it a bit too quickly. Then you really feel the car being pushed by the compression. Then you drive towards the Tetra Rouge, which is a key position here in Le Mans. I learned that quickly in 2007 when I crashed there. You really need to be bold when taking this curve as fast as possible because you need the speed on the long straightaway. The Mulsanne curve is also really hard to brake in. We drive a bit to the right while braking. The car wants to shift, but you have to hold steady and brake until the last groove, and then take one of the slowest curves in Le Mans in first gear. Then we come up to the Indianapolis curve, one of the really fast curves which you take at nearly full speed for a short time and then brake hard and take the left curve in second gear. It's important not to brake too hard here because there's not much room around the gravel bed, and if you do, then the race is probably over and you can forget about becoming champion. Then on to the Arnage, one of the really slow parts, if not the slowest part here in Le Mans. You take it in first gear and it almost feels like the car is standing still. It's really easy to make a mistake here. Then accelerate hard towards the Porsche curves, which is the nicest part of the track for me here in Le Mans. You really need to be bold. The driver was faster, Benoit Treluyer, who starts the race in pole position. 4 minutes to go before the race begins. All the drivers will take a lap around this 13.6 kilometer or 8.4 mile track before the race begins. The car is incredibly fast, but we'll have to see if an Audi can endure the distance over 24 hours to get up to the podium. The temperature is 16 degrees Celsius at the start of the race. Approximately 400 laps lay ahead of the drivers. Audi's Alan McNish in the number 3 car already passes Frank Montagny's Peugeot in the first lap. After 45 minutes, all 3 Audis are leading the pack. Timo Bernhard in front of Benoit Treluyer and Alan McNish. A shock for Audi. McNish passes Anthony Beltoise's Ferrari and they make contact. The Scot slides straight into the Dunlap chicane and into the tire barrier.
Ja, das war.
Yeah, that was brutal. You want to know how he's doing. You want to hear his voice.
Man möchte die Stimme hören.
But he was lucky. The R18 TDI's monocoque held firm. McNish climbs out of the wreckage himself and isn't seriously injured. The team's relieved. But the Scots' shock from the crash was very apparent afterwards.
Physically fine. I was checked over by the circuit doctors, also in the hospital, and by our Audi doctors as well, who monitored me through the night and today. Mentally, you know, no problem. You put these things behind you very quickly.
After 8 laps behind the safety car, the race resumes with the 23rd lap. The 2 remaining Audis are leading the pack after 100 laps. André Lotterer in the lead and Mike Rockenfeller right behind him. The Audi R18 TDI with the number 1 came to a horrifying end in the 120th lap. Reminiscent of McNish, Mike Rockenfeller also collided with a GT car while entering the Indianapolis curve. Shocked faces in the Audi box once again. It looked like Rocky was trying to pass a slower GT who started drifting to the other side of the street. Even though he flashed his highs before passing, the other car just rammed into him. Rocky was going about 300 kilometers or 185 miles per hour, so he was slammed pretty hard into the crash barriers on the left and right. He then climbed out of the car himself and jumped over the crash barrier, and the marshals found him there. He was taken to the medical center in an ambulance. He was still able to speak and is now being checked out through these curves and take them in 5th gear. The slowest you go is 260 kilometers or 160 miles per hour. It's like going through a tunnel of crash barriers because there's not much room to move here. Then we're almost at the finish line. But first there are 2 chicanes, which you try to take as well as possible, of course. You can't go too quickly into the last chicane, and above all, you have to avoid the yellow bumps because they can quickly damage the car. Then we're heading to the finish line, hopefully with a time under 3 minutes 26 seconds.
Dann sind wir auf Startziel und haben hoffentlich eine Zeit geschafft von unter 3 Minuten 26.
Fans from all over the world congregate to Le Mans every year for this racing weekend. In addition to the race, there are plenty of other things to see and experience. We'll show you some of the highlights now in the news. Patrick Dempsey, television star of Private Practice and Grey's Anatomy, is no stranger to Hollywood glamour, but the driver's parade in Le Mans still impresses him.
The parade that starts tomorrow, the whole experience is incredible. Once you've done it, you just want to do it all the time.
One of the established highlights off the racetrack is the largest Danish tent camp outside of Denmark. Approximately 4,000 local fans have become something of a cult occurrence here for more than 7 years, as Mr. Le Mans will surely demonstrate. Having so many Danes here really gives me extra energy. In the Audi Racing Garden, the Cologne Quartet with Julian and Roman Wasserfer provide some great jazz off the track. Five minutes before the start of the 79th edition of the 24-hour race in Le Mans. Take a look at the stands. What an amazing atmosphere here. Enough to give you goosebumps. The Audi R18 TDI with the start number 3 is to our right, and Alan McNish will be starting the race in 5th place. As we remember from last year, this was the best position for Audi in the starting grid. Now we can move up and see Peugeot in 3rd and 4th place, but the first starting row is firmly in the hands of Audi. The defending champion Timo Bernhard will start the race in 2nd place. We'll move in a little closer, and we can see that he's concentrating in preparation for the race. Timo's in the zone right now. We'll keep our fingers crossed for him. Only one